Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for joining me today. Today what I'm going to be demonstrating is using Gilding Flakes. These are a couple of the cards that I created with this technique. So you can see that it's just got gorgeous color to it. And yeah, depth and dimension. I think they're really beautiful cards that, especially these ones, look really great for men. Like they can be quite masculine. So hopefully, you all know my videos tend to take a little bit of time, but hopefully today I'll actually be able to get through this quite quickly. So putting this aside, what we're going to start with is a piece of regular cardstock. This is actually just I think it's 60 pound, so it doesn't have to be anything heavy. And I have taken and put a full sheet of double-sided adhesive on it. Basically, I just have a 6-inch roll of soup wang here. Oops. Yeah, so I just used that, trimmed off the edges, called it good. On this card here, I used my 2-inch soup wang. And so you can see here on this edge here where there's just a little bit of a line where my tape came together, which is why I put my sentiment just across the side there. So it's really not super noticeable. So it is definitely possible to do this with different size tapes. You don't have to have the huge one or a full sheet of double-sided adhesive. But if you do, great. So I'm going to use a full sheet of double-sided adhesive. And what I've got here is I've got two different kinds of gilding flakes. So basically I've got a gold and silver one, and then one that is a copper or like a rose gold color. These ones are by Art Ingredients. Cosmic Shimmer carries some. You can get these in multiple different places. You can just get the sheets of gilding papers and things like that from Michael's. You can order them off at Amazon. There are a lot of different companies that are carrying these. These just happen to be the two that I have. Okay, so when you are opening these, you want to make sure that you haven't got a big allergy problem at the time, or that you're suffering from a bout of sneezing or something. These are very delicate. They're very light. If you cough, if you sneeze, if you have your heating on or your air conditioning or something like that, and it catches a wind, you don't want to be working with a fan with these things because it will go all over the place. So that being said, let's get started. So the first thing that I'm going to do, so I've put my soup wang down, I've burnished it onto my cardstock. Could even just use copy paper too. It doesn't have to be thick cardstock or anything like that. Now I'm going to attempt to remove my top sheet from my adhesive here. Okay, and I'm going to put my cardstock just down here on my work surface. Try and not stick to it. Now I'm going to open my flakes. You can see how shiny they are. And I'm going to start pulling out some pieces and sticking them down. You don't need a ton. There's a lot in these jars. I know it doesn't seem like it, but there is actually quite a bit in these jars. That's a pretty big piece there. I guess we're going to work with that there. Yes, a little bit more gold on this one here. Stretch that out there. Get that going here. And then one more piece of gold. You want to get a little bit of the rose gold. The rose gold or the copper is actually my favorite color, but so I do want a little bit of that in there. I've been trying to work around this ginormous piece here because I don't want to use this whole big piece. I don't need anything this big, so I'm just kind of tearing off some of the pieces here. And tacking it down into my double-sided adhesive here, wherever I feel like I want to place it. A piece here and a little piece here. So I'm going to start with this amount. You can see that I haven't fully covered my, and you can see how staticky that is here. You can see though that I haven't fully covered my piece of cardstock. I don't need to, because a lot of this is going to come and move itself around and things like that. So there's a couple of different tools that you can use for this. I'm actually just going to use a plain old stencil brush. Pretty sure I got this from Dollar Tree for think $1.20, $1.25, and I'm just going to start tapping this down. And now that I've got this one piece down here, I can put my finger there rather than having to touch my adhesive. And I'm just basically tapping it down into place here so that it starts to adhere itself to my adhesive. Okay, so I'm tapping it down, tapping it down, tapping it down. Okay, now once you've got it to that point, you can start to circle. So this is going to buff up and catch all of those teeny tiny little pieces and start to move them around. Okay, so this is one tool. It's an inexpensive tool to use. So most people have some sort of double-sided adhesive. Stencil brushes are very easy to come by, whether it's Dollar Tree or you might even have one from painting or something like that at home before. You know, from in your craft stash, you might have that already. You might have these really cool, yeah, I'm starting to lose a lot of the hairs and stuff here. Okay, so you might need a slightly better one than what you get at the Dollar Tree. But so now I'm burnishing these and I can start to lift all of these and move those pieces around. So I'm going to put that aside because I've mostly got everything that I had brought down is covered here. Let's see if I can get some of these pieces of hair off. It's going to be in my card now. It's like DNA. I coughed on this. I'm going to show you the second tool that I'm going to use. This is called, well, this one isn't because I did a knockoff kind of thing, but a company by the name of Indigo Blue carries something called a Scoochie, and that's what this is. So if you look at this, this looks like it's a humidifier filter, this whatever this spongy type thing is. I didn't have one of those or have the time when I was deciding to do this class. Didn't have the time to order from the company. So what I did is I have a Tim Holtz stamp scrubby, which is about a 6x6 or an 8x8 size. And that's really pretty big for me. I don't need that. So what I did is I actually just trimmed this 2-inch, inch and a half, 2-inch section off of part of it and cut it into a couple of different pieces. And so now I have this awesome little tool without having to go out and buy one. And that just worked like a darn. And so, so you can go out and get the tool if you want, but you don't have to, or you can find, get yourself just a piece of humidifier filter, probably from Home Depot or something like that. So this doesn't have to be the most expensive craft that you've done. Okay, just gonna these couple of pieces up. Okay. So now with this thing, I can burnish this and I'm going to get a lot of the little pieces are going to get lifted. And you're also going to hear this really irritating sound. It's not quite nails on a chalkboard, but it does get kind of close to it. But what it does is it buffs it, and then you get all of the little pieces, which I'll scooch over here towards my cardstock again, which still has the adhesive on it, right? So it's going to pick up some of these smaller pieces, which also then helps you not use quite as much of your gilding flakes. Okay. Line some copper down here. A little bit in there. So these things are incredibly staticky. So that's what you want to watch here. Okay, so I'm just going to, again, all of my cast offs here, I'm another piece of hair. I'm just going to kind of scooch them together here at the edge of my card. Look at those hairs. The edge of my card, and I'm just going to continue to kind of buff those in to catch any of the places that my cardstock is still sticky. I can feel a few places over here still kind of sticky. Okay. And just feel it. You can touch it any of those places where you can still feel your double-sided adhesive coming through, because it's a strong adhesive, so you will be able to feel it in some of these places. So that is not bad. And as you can see, there's not a ton that's left over on my work surface here. So I'm just going to take my Make Art station here, kind of gather up what little bits of flaking is left there, and just kind of tip it into my garbage can. So just like glitter, there's not a ton of stuff that's left over here. Now, there are some places where it didn't get covered perfectly, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. You know, this is paper crafting. It's not homework. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my embossing buddy. So this is the bag of cornstarch or whatever kind of powder this is. And I'm just going to go along the top of it here and kind of dab it in. I'm really not fond of what the feeling of this powder is on my fingers. So that's why I have this little buffalo clip there. Handier than I'll get out, and a nice little cheapo type tool to use. And so by doing that, that's going to cover all of the places where it's sticky. Okay. Now I'm going to buff that and kind of wipe that off so that it loses its, so that it's not all powdery like this, right? The baby wipe. So, and here we go. Okay, so now we have this really cool looking, variegated, shiny, metallic, grunge kind of card face, right? Card front. So what are we going to do with that? That's a really good question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 3D embossing folder. Okay, this one is Simon Says Stamp, and it's called the Forest Border. And I have mine marked because I take mine out of the packaging. Some people keep theirs. I don't. I just don't like to, so I don't keep packaging. And I've marked what the front is. So the front of your embossing folder is always going to be like if I drag my nail across here, I can see where the indentations are. It's going to catch my nail, and I can push into where all of these trees are, for example. Sorry, I'm kind of out of frame there, but you can see here, if I run my finger across this, like it catches my finger because it stops them, because this is the raised part. Okay, so this would be, anytime it's the raised part, this is the debossing side. This is the back. Anything that has the hole or the concave part, that is the front of your embossing folder. Some embossing folders have, like if you have Sizzix, a couple of them actually have their names. If they are marked actually on the embossing folder, that is the front. They'll have their name on it or their company name, things like that. That is the front of the folder. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to take my image, or sorry, my card front, and I'm actually going to stick it into my embossing folder. Now, normally we would stick our cardstock into our embossing folder this way, put it up, and then we would have the image come up out of our card front. What I actually want to do is I want to put my image into, I want to deboss my image into my gilded panel here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn this upside down. I want these trees to be pushed into my card. Okay, so I'm going to line it up basically where it is on, I'm going to look at my card or my embossing folder, because I want to make sure that I'm getting as much of the image as possible, that it's straight. Not all of the embossing folders you will find go edge to edge. So I want to make sure that my card front will fit in here. So I can see down here, here's where the trees cut off. Maybe I want that to actually be a little bit higher, which I do. I am using a card front, which is 5 1/4 by 4. So it's 5 1/4 by 4 inches, because when I put it on a card, I want to be able to have a nice border. Okay. So now I'm going to take this to my die cutting machine and I'm going to emboss it. Whichever machine you have, make sure that you're using the correct sandwich for your particular die cutting machine. Okay. And you only need to run it through once. A lot of people go back and forth, back and forth. You don't need to do that with an embossing folder. Okay. So here's going to be the big reveal. We're going to see how beautiful this is. So you can see how much texture I got from the back of the card here, right? Like this is the white part. You can see how much texture I got, which is excellent. So now I'm going to lift it up and you can see I've actually pushed the trees into all of this color on the back. Okay. The reason why I wanted to push it into the back of my card is because I want to put color on top and I want my trees to all be to continue to have that metallic look. Okay. So what I'm going to use to do that is Stazon. Okay. Stazon is not a product that I utilize a lot because it is a solvent-based. It says right here, solvent ink. It is a solvent-based ink pad or ink, which means that it has corrosive properties to it, which could eat away at your stamps. So when you're using this product on your stamps, you want to make sure that you're cleaning them like right away. But this is the only product that you can use Ranger archival ink, but it will still take a long time to dry. But this is the best product to use on something that is non-porous, right? Because these the metal that's on here, the flakes that we put on here, are non-porous. If it was in the regular cardstock, not a problem. Porous, it will sink in and it will dry, not a problem. But because we're putting it on here, if you want to put something on acetate, if you want to stamp on glass tiles, if you want it on vellum, things like that. Stazon is the product that you want to use. You should be able to get a good crisp image, but it will also dry almost immediately. Now, you will still have a little bit of tackiness time and setup time and things like that, but this is the product that will actually dry. Pigment inks, dye-based inks, they do not work. You can get, what do you call it? Archival will work. You will just have to give it more time for it to dry, okay? So this particular product, when you open it up, this is the jet black color, okay? And it will have a little plastic sleeve on it. You do need to put that back on here because this, again, if it dries that quickly on your non-porous surface, it will dry quickly on your ink pad. So you want to make sure that you're keeping it covered. And now, so I'm going to take this ink pad and I'm just going to go direct to paper and I want to buff it entirely over my card. Okay. Now I'm not pushing hard because I don't want to send my ink pad into all of those crevices that I just made. I just want to create this really cool depth and dimension by allowing the color, the silver and the metallics and everything like that, by allowing that to come out, but also to continue to have those beautiful colors of the trees. That's what I want to highlight. And so some of this will go darker, some of it will stay lighter. You can see where some of the areas where it's not quite, sorry, I'll move that back into frame here. So it's not covering here and here. There's a couple of areas where it's not covering it. And I like that look. It gets it a little bit more grunge. And it just creates, it works with the different colors that are in my Gilding Flakes. So as you can see, I have put my cover back on my Stazon and I'm going to put my lid back on right away. Okay, I'm going to take this. Yeah, I'm going to have to wipe that down. Okay, so I'm just going to put my panel. So here we go. This is what it looks like right now. I'm just going to put my panel aside for just a moment or two here and clean off my surface so that again, so it doesn't stain and things like that. So I'm just going to clean off my magnet here that I was using to hold it. There we go. And so you can see here, okay, it's not coming off. So what am I going to do in this case? So I don't like to clean it after every single time because this is hand sanitizer and it has an alcohol in it, which is good because that is the only thing that is going to lift this up. Or you can also use Stazon sprays on, Stazon stamp cleaner will also work. This is Stazon stamp cleaner, and it has a little bit of a I don't know, like an oily feel to it. So I actually, for cleaning off my surface, I use this one on my stamps for sure if I have used Stazon. But for cleaning off my surfaces and stuff, I much prefer to use either an alcohol pad or rubbing alcohol would work, isopropyl alcohol would work, or hand sanitizer. And we all seem to have hand sanitizer these days, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna wipe off my hands here. So here we go. Here's my panel, and I touch, you can actually see there's just a couple of places, but most of it is dry already. Okay. So here we go. Let's create a card front then. In fact, if you look at what I did here, I actually got 2 out of this one because it was the up and down one, and I just trimmed it down. So I have a different, this was a different folder that I used. But what I would like to do is I think I'm going to try and trim it. Let's get my trimmer out. I have it here. Let's have a look. So I kind of like, I don't think I want it split directly in half. So we do, this is 3 1/4, so 2. Yeah, good way there. Okay, so I'm going to cut this right about here. So I've got 2 pieces. They're almost the same size, but not quite. You can see the one's about 1/4 of an inch bigger. And that's fine. So here's my, nope, I have no card bases. So card bases. 1 and 1. Okay, because we all know green likes a good twofer. Okay, so as I said before, I trimmed these down because I wanted to have a bit of a border. So if I had kept this like this, okay, so this is my full panel. In fact, it's still a little sticky on the sides there. This is my full panel. I could have just mounted this onto my card just like this. Perfect. Now, put my little sentiment here. Happy birthday wishes. Ta-da, I'm good to go. Okay. But to give you a little bit extra here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a card out of these and just add a little bit of something here to make it look nice. Okay, so I'm just taking some regular black cardstock. I'm pretty sure this is about, this is a 40 pound. I think this is 100-pound cardstock. It might be 80. Okay, and I'm just gonna take enough for me to match that one. Yes, it does. Okay, so I'm gonna stick that one down and trim that. There. Okay. This one on here, I am going to have it go sideways. Let's just create a little bit of visual interest on this card. So what I think I'm going to do is lift this. I'm going to stick down this black panel, and I'm going to have this one sit here, but I want to pop it up. So, whoops. This one I'm going to stick down first. See how that goes. Let's go to the edge here. Bit of gilding flake left over there. Okay, so I want to leave a bit of a border here. Okay, so, and then let's get some foam tape to put on the back of this guy. Because if we pop this up, I think that'll be a really nice little feature there. Trim off a bit at the top. Yep, trim off a little bit at the top. Maybe stuff in there. Yeah, so I can get that edge of black down there. I think that'll work well. Oh, foam tape. Okay. We'll just put a couple pieces of foam tape on this one, or maybe in the center. It's that corner. Okay. Oh, hopefully my nails are good enough to pull this foam tape off. The release papers off of this. Not so bad. One. Okay, so I just want to try and get this straight. So, okay. And then I have this really cute happy birthday that I think I would like to stick. Can you do that there? Kind of like it on the black, black on black, the black with the white writing. The other thing is these are sentiment strips that I got from Simon Says Stamp, and they're just they sell them in. I mean, there's a couple hundred in each pack. They come in sheets. You can get 4 sheets, and then they you just cut them apart and things like that. But it is toner printed black so that you have the white lettering. So what I like to do in order to keep it cohesive is I just come in with an, sorry, I'm under frame that. I come in with a marker and just from the back side, I just like to drag it along here so that I can hide that white core. Okay. Then I don't, it looks more cohesive and seamless there. Because if you see, right, so if you're looking at that, I can actually see the white on the edge there versus how nice and clean this looks. And off screen, what I did is I took a few pieces of leftover cardstock, so a couple of strips, and I've put a couple of pieces on the back here to give it a little bit of stability, but also a little bit of oomph. And I'm going to pull out a slightly thinner piece here because I'm going to pop this. So this is going to pop up off of here a little bit. So I want to also have then a little bit of foam to support back here. So behind the H kind of thing. Like that. So I'm just adding a little bit of foam behind here in a thinner width so that it will support it under my sentiment, which is already partially popped up here. Or sorry, not my sentiment, my focal image, right? So what I'm going to do is kind of pull this into here, but I want to add some adhesive behind that. Adhesive away. And I like to add a little bit of liquid adhesive on my foam tape if I'm paying enough attention, because it gives me a little bit of wiggle time as well. Okay, so I want this down here, like that. Is that straight? Feels straight. Okay. So I like that there. Let's get these out of the way. I just had them here. I know I did. And then from Allie, I got these absolutely adorable black baubles kind of thing. So if you, ooh, look at that. I shifted that when I went to cook for my baubles. Okay, so let's hold that in place while that dries then, because I need to hold that in place. It won't shift on me. And they come in, there's like 5 or 6 different sizes in here. And so even though this might be a guy's part, because it's, you know, it's quite masculine here. So I'm going to try and do 2 things at once here. Okay. So I'm going to pour out a few of those into this little container that makes it easier to get everything back into those little teeny tiny containers. And I'm going to pull out my, this is my jewel picker. Okay, so look at the size on this thing. He's just huge. I love it. Look at that. So that's one size. There's another size. We've got this little guy here. And then I think there's an even smaller one. About the same size. No, that's even smaller. And then look, there's like 2 little babies here. One and this little guy here. So in general, when you're putting on embellishments and things like that, you want to try and keep it in odd numbers. So I've got 6 on here, so that's not going to work. I'm saying I want an odd number, right? So I'm going to keep this big guy because he's just huge. So I can put him right here onto the black. Maybe this guy kind of Let's see here. This one, this one. I keep these kind of together. So I do want to bring them out a little bit onto the white so that they kind of highlight that. Maybe I just want the 3. I think I'm just going to have the 3 on here. So using my Barely Art glitter glue, I'm going to pick these guys up and add a dab of glue here and stick it down. I want to make sure that it's making contact with my liquid adhesive. And popping that down. There we go. Oops. Swished it. Fortunately enough, this adhesive is clear. Okay. And pin it up and put it down. If you end up getting a jewel picker like this, make sure that you get one that has a white tip. Because I've seen ones that have different colors, like if you get a black one or something like that, and you happen to slip, you'll mark up your paper. Then you have to get out your mono sound eraser or something like that. But get yourself one that has a white tip. And often you can, even if you get one that has a colored tip, you can get a replacement tip for these things. So just as a handy little FYI. Okay, so that's trying to put my pin back in the glue here. Okay, so that's the first card. Okay, nice little happy birthday. It looks out quite nice. I like that different orientation to it. So for this one, I'm going to keep this one actually a little, well, first one was quite simple as it was as well, but I'm just going to stick this one onto, onto a mat, a black mat. And so I think I pretty much guesstimated pretty decent. So that looks like it's fairly straight. That is not my card. This is the card in front. Okay. So, and I think I'm just going to do this. I want to pop this one up as well. So I need some foam tape here. Actually, am I going to pop that up? So I can just center this guy, and then I can do wishing you the best. I think that's actually quite nice like that. Wishing you the best. Like so. So if I pop one up, I can pop this one up as well and call that good. So this guy, I also put a little bit of couple of strips behind it as well, just to get that there. That one, yeah, I might pop this guy up and just add the adhesive behind the other one, I think maybe. When you're adding foam tape and adhesive and things like that, especially to the major focal of your card, oftentimes it's a good idea to add in a little bit more than you think you might need, especially if you're planning on sending something through the mail, right? So this would be very easy to crush if I had only done three pieces of foam. So I'm going to make sure that this is going to be sturdy enough as it goes through that should something happen, it's not going to be totally destroyed and trashed by, well, till my recipient gets it. Whatever they choose to do with their card, I don't get a lot of say in that. So, but hopefully they'll really enjoy it and want to keep it, or at least enjoy it for their time. Unfortunately, again, that's not something I get to control, is how long people choose to keep the cards I give them. But I still want them to know that I'm thinking of them and that I appreciate them. So they get a nice handmade card. So just about done here. And then we'll just add a little bit of liquid adhesive here. I forgot to, this is the other thing though too. Sometimes I forget then to go through and touch up the edges of my card here, or my sentiment strip. So, and I like to do it from the back if I can. Now I've stuck my adhesive on here already, which was kind of silly. But if you do it from the back and you happen to slip, you're not coloring up your sentiment strip, which is nice. So from the back, I can slip and I can color on the back of this. I get my pin on the back of this, and that won't be the end of the world. But if I slip and happen to get it on the front of it, well, I've kind of mucked up my sentiment. Then I could cross over the whites and whatnot. Okay. So I'm just going to stick this down here, like so. So it is popped up just a little bit. It's only got 3 layers of paper behind it, so it's not a ton. But I like how it shows the different, just raises it up a little bit. So we've got these two here. These are the black ones that I did. So this is with the jet black Stazon. Okay, so these are our 2 cards here that we've completed. And one that I did last weekend that I got to enjoy, a friend of mine, I wanted to show you guys because I want to pop this up as well. This was, and it's really funny because I saw this technique on YouTube and I don't know why I didn't think about it, but of using other colors. So when I was teaching the class, I had people just bring black, and that was all I was prepared to do was with black because that's what I had seen. And this friend of mine, she brought these absolutely gorgeous colors, and this is the azure blue in Stazon. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. There was a really pretty red and a purple, but what I enjoyed was this one. And so I had created this beautiful, this is the Simon Says Swirling Stamps, Simon Says Stamps 3D embossing folder. I believe it's called Swirling Snowflakes. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's which one it is. But if you look at this one, I ended up having a lot more copper in, and then putting the blue Stazon, the azure Stazon on it. And so I'm just going to finish this one off, and we will call that pretty much done. But I think this is just a beautiful winter card, or fall, or not fall, but or holiday card. And so I have this sentiment that I had stamped and heat embossed, and I think that it's just going to be really pretty there because it's got the gold and everything, so it coordinates with the gold that I already have in there. But look at the shine and the color and the depth. And what's nice about the Stazon is that it's not opaque, so you still get to see all of your metallic colors and everything in behind your ink. So I've colored it, but look at how much of the silver. So underneath the black, it's still reflective. It's still shiny, even though there's ink on top of it. Same thing with the blue. It's still shiny and reflective, even though there's ink on top of it. So we have 1 card, 2 cards, and the third one. So as we all know, green likes a good deal, and you can't beat a twofer. So we had 2 out of this one. I did the same thing with these ones. Okay, just trimming it down and trimming it out a little bit. And then this one was a full, well, a half panel kind of thing. But anyway, I hope that you guys have enjoyed that class. I think that I will have some more videos coming on Gilding Flakes because I'm really enjoying playing with them and the colors and everything like that. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below and I'd be happy to answer it for you. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to my channel, and hopefully you'll be notified then when I post. Okay, we'll see you soon, and take care, everybody. Bye-bye.